Hello and welcome. Today, we're covering a story that has surprised many and raised serious questions across global politics. Former US President Donald Trump has once again put Greenland at the center of international debate, this time by threatening tariffs and calling the Arctic territory vital to US national security. So why is Greenland suddenly back in the headlines? What exactly did Trump say? And what could this mean for US relations with Denmark, NATO allies, and the broader geopolitical balance in the Arctic? Let's break it all down. What did Trump say? Donald Trump has warned that the United States could impose trade tariffs on countries that oppose or resist US efforts related to Greenland. He has framed the issue not as an economic or territorial ambition, but as a matter of national and global security. According to Trump, Greenland's strategic location in the Arctic makes it essential for monitoring missile threats, controlling shipping lanes, and countering rival powers such as Russia and China. He argues that without stronger US control or influence over Greenland, America and its allies are at risk. This rhetoric marks a sharp escalation from earlier remarks, when Trump first floated the idea of acquiring Greenland years ago. Comments that were initially dismissed as unrealistic or symbolic. This time, however, the language is firmer, more strategic, and backed by the threat of economic consequences. Why Greenland matters. To understand this story, we need to understand why Greenland matters so much. Greenland is the world's largest island and sits in a crucial position between North America, Europe, and the Arctic Ocean. As climate change melts Arctic ice, new shipping routes are opening, and access to rare earth minerals is increasing. The island already hosts a key US military base, Thule Space Base, which plays a critical role in missile detection and space surveillance. From a defense perspective, Greenland provides early warning systems that protect the US mainland. Trump argues that as global competition intensifies, especially in the Arctic, Greenland's importance will only grow. In his view, allowing rivals to expand influence there would be a strategic failure. The tariff threat. What makes this moment different is Trump's use of tariffs as leverage. Tariffs are typically used in trade disputes, not territorial or security debates. By threatening tariffs, Trump is signaling that economic pressure could be used against allies or partners who oppose US ambitions regarding Greenland. This approach echoes Trump's broader foreign policy style, using economic tools to force political outcomes. Critics say this risks damaging alliances, while supporters argue it's a tough but effective negotiating tactic. The key concern here is that Denmark, which governs Greenland, is a NATO ally. Threatening tariffs against allies over a security disagreement is highly unusual and potentially destabilizing. Denmark and Greenland respond. Denmark has been quick and firm in its response. Danish officials have repeatedly stated that Greenland is not for sale, and that any decisions about the island's future must involve the people of Greenland themselves. Greenland's own leaders have echoed this position, emphasizing sovereignty and self-determination. Public sentiment in both Denmark and Greenland strongly opposes any form of external takeover or coercion. In recent days, protests and political statements across Denmark have reinforced support for Greenland's autonomy, framing Trump's comments as disrespectful and provocative. This reaction highlights a growing divide between Trump's worldview and traditional alliance diplomacy. Impact on NATO and alliances. This issue has wider implications for NATO and transatlantic relations. NATO relies on unity, trust, and cooperation, especially at a time when tensions with Russia are high. Trump's threats risk creating friction within the alliance, particularly if economic pressure is applied to a fellow NATO member. European leaders are increasingly concerned that security disagreements could spill into trade wars, weakening collective defense at a critical moment. At the same time, Trump argues that strong leadership sometimes requires upsetting the status quo. and that long-term security is worth short-term diplomatic strain. The Arctic power struggle. This story isn't just about Trump or Greenland, it's about the future of the Arctic. Russia has been expanding its military presence in the Arctic, reopening bases and deploying advanced weapons systems. China, meanwhile, has declared itself a near-Arctic state and is investing heavily in Arctic research, infrastructure, and shipping routes. From this perspective, Trump's focus on Greenland reflects a broader strategic concern. The Arctic is becoming a new frontier of global competition. The question is not whether the Arctic matters, it clearly does, but how nations should compete there, through cooperation, diplomacy, or confrontation. Criticism and support. Trump's comments have sparked strong reactions on both sides. Critics say threatening tariffs over Greenland undermines international law, damages alliances, and treats diplomacy like a business transaction. They argue that security concerns should be addressed through NATO cooperation, not economic threats. Supporters, however, praise Trump's directness. They argue he is highlighting a real strategic vulnerability and forcing allies to take Arctic security more seriously. This divide reflects a larger debate about America's role in the world: consensus builder or hard negotiator. What could happen next? So what comes next? Several scenarios are possible. Diplomatic talks could cool tensions with renewed focus on joint Arctic security within NATO. Trump could escalate rhetoric further, especially if the issue becomes central to domestic politics. Greenland may push harder for greater autonomy, distancing itself from both Denmark and US pressure. Or the controversy may fade, only to return as Arctic competition intensifies. What's clear is that Greenland is no longer a quiet geopolitical footnote. It's now firmly on the global strategic map. Conclusion. To sum it up, Trump's tariff threats over Greenland have reignited debate over security, sovereignty, and alliance politics. While the Arctic's importance is undeniable, the method of asserting influence remains deeply contested. This story is about much more than one island. It's about how power is exercised in a changing world. We'll continue to follow this closely. If you found this analysis helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Do you believe Greenland is truly vital for global security, or has this gone too far?